Come and see friends, the secrets of reincarnation from Sha'ar HaGilgulim, Chapter 3. I've decided to expand upon the matter of reincarnation, Yibum and Ibur. The level of Ibur is during a person's life, as mentioned previously. This means that sometimes, after a certain mitzvah occurs to a person, and he performs it properly, that the nefesh of a certain earlier righteous person will be arranged for him who also had performed this mitzvah correctly. Since they are similar with respect to this mitzvah, the nefesh of the righteous person will become an Ibur within him. Not only this, but it is also possible that the righteous person is with him during his lifetime and yet be an Ibur within him for the reason mentioned. When this person will do a mitzvah or mitzvos that are relevant to this righteous person who also performed them correctly, then the nefesh of the righteous person will come as an Ibur in him, even though they are alive at the same time. This is the sod of the verse. The nefesh of David became attached to the nefesh of Yohanan, 1 Shmuel 18:1. While they were both alive together, the nefesh of David was an Ibur within Yonasan. However, regarding reincarnation, the matter requires some elaboration. Therefore, we will begin the discussion with Adam Harishon in order to more easily understand the matter. Know that when Adam Harishon sinned, he blemished all the sparks of his nefesh, ruach, and neshama. The matter is, as it is known, that just as a person's body contains many sparks in his 248 limbs and 365 tendons, there are many sparks in his head, in his eyes, and in every limb, and so likewise does the nefesh. For they elucidate in Midrash Tanchuma and Midrash Rabbah on Parashas Naso regarding the verse, "Where were you when I founded the earth?" Job 38:4. This teaches that while Adam Harishon was still a golem and this one depended on his head, etc. In a similar manner, his ruach was also divided, as is his neshama as well. When he sinned, he blemished the majority of the sparks of his nefesh, ruach, and neshama, causing them to become mixed together with the klipos. This is the secret of what is written in the introduction of Sefer HaTikunim on the verse, "Like a bird that wanders from its nest," Mishlei 27:8. Just as the divine presence is exiled amongst the klipos, so too are the righteous people exiled with it, wandering after it from place to place. And according to the level of the sparks, that is how they were exiled, to the corresponding place among the klipos, the head to the head, the eyes to the eyes, etc. This is the sod of the matter of the exile of the souls that is mentioned there. Cain and Abel, his sons, also committed another sin, other than the sin of Adam their father, and also caused their sparks to become immersed in the depths of klipos after that. However, in each generation, some of the sparks leave and come to reincarnate in this world. It all depends upon the level of the quality of the souls of a particular generation, which can be sparks from the head or the eyes, etc., to be rectified in this world. There are some who, though they reincarnate in order to become rectified, are not careful and sin. Again, he is immersed on the klipos, as in the beginning, together with all the sparks that are drawn from him and depend upon him. This is an in-between state which includes reincarnation and Ibur. All of the sparks of the nefesh, even those which had already been rectified, come in a complete reincarnation from the time of birth with the individual spark that was damaged, and do not separate at all until the day of death. However, the reincarnation of the rectified sparks is called Ibur, since they do not have a share in the sins of this body, only in the merits. This is in the same manner explained regarding souls of righteous people who have died and actually come besod Ibur during a person's lifetime and not from birth. Thus a spark that has not been rectified at all through the fulfillment of mitzvahs related to it, or if it transgresses one of the sins for which there is no resurrection, will reincarnate into a second body which will be named after it. The sparks that were rectified through mitzvahs, but which were blemished through a light sin, will come as an Ibur as mentioned, even though this is also reincarnation. However, sparks that have not been blemished through sins after having been rectified by mitzvahs do not come at all, except as an Ibur during the lifetime, and also only if he will merit it. What comes out of this is that when the nefesh reincarnates in this world, the main part of the reincarnation is for the specific part that had been blemished related to that body. The rest of the parts, already having come in other bodies in which they were rectified, only return as on the level of Ibur. Therefore, when the part that is related to that body does a mitzvah in this world, then the rest of the parts of the nefesh that are an Ibur in him receive a portion in this mitzvah, since they assisted him in the performance of the mitzvah, in a similar manner mentioned previously, besod Ibur of a righteous person. This is not the case when this specific part sins. The rest of the nefesh will not share in the punishment because they help for the good, not for the evil. Thus, when a person is born in a reincarnation, all parts of the nefesh return there. However, the main reincarnation is only for the specific part that is relevant to the body that came to rectify what had been blemished in the previous body. Reward and punishment depends only upon it. The rest of the nefesh will receive reward, but not punishment as mentioned. The rest of the sections of the nefesh take a portion in the reward, but not in the punishment as mentioned. Thus, this nefesh, as a whole, now that it undergoes suffering and punishment that comes to the body during its life, aside from that which it had suffered by the rest of the sparks in previous bodies, and bears the pain of death in this body and the suffering that comes after death, consequently will atone for its previous sins. However, for the mitzvos that it did in previous reincarnations, as well as for the mitzvos performed by this spark, it will receive a portion, as mentioned. In this manner, its rectification and perfection will become completed. However, if it had a portion in the current sins of this spark currently undergoing rectification, there could never be rectification for the nefesh throughout all of its reincarnations, since a person always sins and would add new transgressions to previous sins from other reincarnations. There would be no end to this. Since the rest of the portions of the nefesh do not have a portion in the evil of this spark, only in its merits, sins can be completed and atoned for, and not accumulate. Merits will be renewed and increased in every reincarnation of each spark, which will result in an end to the stage of reincarnation and for the rectification of the nefesh. Understand this well. In this way, the nefesh will become completed with all of its sparks through reincarnations until they no longer need to reincarnate to rectify any of the sparks from the head of the nefesh to its feet. Once the feet are completed, then Moshiach will come, as mentioned in the Zohar, in Parashas Pekudei and at the end of Parashas Vayahel. However, the level of Yibum is not like this, the reason being that he reincarnates for a different reason. When it comes to the rest of the sins of the Torah, rectification can be achieved through suffering in this world, or Gehinnom. Therefore, all of the sparks of the nefesh do not need to reincarnate except as an Ibur, as mentioned. The specific spark alone reincarnates. However, someone who comes in the secret of Yibum does so because he died childless. He is like someone who was completely unsuccessful, as if he was never in the world and the first body never existed, as it says in Parashas Vayeshev. Therefore it is necessary that the nefesh from the first body, with all of its portions, return and reincarnate completely at that time anew for its own sake. This second body bomb from Yibum will be his main body, and after rectification and death from this world, and at the resurrection of the dead, the nefesh will return only in it. He will not enter the first body, only the spirit that he left in his wife, as mentioned in Saba of Mishpatim. The difference has now been explained between someone who died childless and returns in the secret of Yibum, and one who dies because of the rest of the sins of the Torah and reincarnates as arranged and not through Yibum. All the details mentioned also apply to Ruach and Neshama, in the same manner as explained regarding the sparks of the nefesh. There is another difference between Yibum and reincarnation, which was mentioned at the beginning of this discussion. Since for someone who reincarnates in the secret of Yibum, the first body is considered as if it never existed at all, as mentioned, and for this reason the nefesh must reincarnate with all of its parts. As discussed, it is literally like a new creation. Therefore, the Ruach and Neshama will reincarnate with it, the three of them together. However, this will not occur at one time. Only when he merits to perform mitzvahs appropriate for the Ruach will the Ruach enter him. It is likewise for the Neshama. It is like what was mentioned above at the beginning of the discussion regarding the first time a person comes into this world, as spoken about in Sabah of Mishpatim. If he merits more, they give him a Rach. If he merits more, they give him a Neshama, etc. This is not the case in a reincarnation, as will be explained. Thus, someone who returns in the secret of Yibum is like a new creation, and he is able to achieve the three of them, Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama, at one time, according to his actions. This is the secret of the verse: if he were to set his heart against him, he would simply gather in his Ruach and his Neshama to himself. Job 34:14, which is elucidated to be about the matter of Yibum in Sabah of Mishpatim. The explanation is as stated. Just as the brother-in-law has the ability to return a portion of the nefesh of his father in this world through Yibum, so too does this brother-in-law have the ability to return the entire nefesh to him, together with the Ruach and the Neshama. However, it will be based upon good deeds, as it written, if he were to set his heart against him. However, reincarnation that is not through Yibum does not have the ability to draw the three of them, only one at a time, as mentioned previously. In the beginning, the nefesh will reincarnate alone until it becomes completely rectified and he dies. After that, the Ruach alone will reincarnate into a different body until it is rectified. The nefesh will only reincarnate with it in the secret of Ibur, since it is already rectified, and it only comes to help it, and for the good, not for the evil. Therefore, it receives a portion of the good deeds of the Ruach and not of the bad ones, in the manner written above, referring to the nefesh itself, when all of it reincarnates with a specific part and dwells with it in the secret of Ibur, etc. This explains how there can be an end to the reincarnations of the nefesh, and it can become rectified, since it has no part in the sins of the Rach, as mentioned. After that he will die, and then the Neshama will reincarnate to rectify itself. The nefesh and the Ruach will come with it only in the secret of Ibur, as mentioned, until it is refined. Then there will no longer be any need for this person to reincarnate in this world at all for his own sake, though it is possible for him to return in the secret of Ibur in this world in another person during his lifetime, to help and to cause him merit and receive a portion with him, as mentioned above at length. It will now be explained what was known at the beginning of the discussion, also in the secret of Gilgul. If there is a very pressing need, so much so that the new reincarnation has some merit to achieve the three of them together, Nefesh, Ruach and Neshama, at one time in a single body, he will not require many reincarnations. He can complete the three of them in only one reincarnation. The matter is like this. When the nefesh first reincarnates alone, if it is rectified to the extent of complete refinement, the Ruach cannot come with it, as mentioned previously, since it is complete and the Ruach lacks rectification. There is, however, a solution, since the nefesh is already completely rectified, as mentioned, namely when a person sleeps at night and deposits his nefesh in his hand, may he be blessed, as it is known, it is possible for his nefesh to remain above, clinging to the upper well, the secret of the Mayim Nukvim, as explained in Sha'ar HaTefillah. Lying down at night, see there when he awakens from his sleep in the morning, the Ruach alone will enter him, as if it reincarnated another time into a different body. It will continue until it is completely rectified, when the nefesh will be able to return into the body as in the beginning, since both are rectified. The Ruach will be clothed by the nefesh, and the nefesh will be a chariot for it. After that, if the Ruach is completely refined, it is possible for both the nefesh and the Ruach to leave the body at night during sleep and in the secret of a deposit, as mentioned, and remain above. Then in the morning, when he awakens from his sleep, the Neshama will enter him and become rectified within him. Once it has completed its rectification, the rectified nefesh and Ruach will return, and the three of them will join together in a single body. This will become a chariot for the other, as it is known, and there will be no need for further reincarnations. The matter of this rectification is alluded to in the verse, My soul desired you during the night. As long as my spirit is within me, I seek you out. Yeshayahu 26:9. This is the explanation. The level of my nefesh, once it becomes completely refined, in the secret of and cling to him, Devarim 11:22, then I will desire you and greatly yearn to cling to you. The matter of this desiring and yearning is at night, at the time of the deposit of the souls which ascend in the secret of Mayim Nukvim to arouse an upper zivug. By force of this desire, since it is refined, it is able to cling there with a complete clinging, remaining there and not descending. When morning arrives, the time for the souls to descend, it will not go down. Rather, my ruach will descend and enter me then in the morning. Therefore, I seek you out is not on the level of my nefesh, but rather on the level of my ruach, which then enters within me to become rectified as mentioned. Hence the Roshei Tevos of the words night, even, my ruach is spell well, to allude to what was mentioned earlier that my nefesh desired you, to ascend to the upper well as mentioned. Thus, a person who knows on his own that he completed the level of his nefesh, it is correct for him to say the verse, my soul desired you during the night, with all the intention mentioned above, when he lies on his bed. This way he will reach the secret of the ruach, and likewise the neshama, and will not require other reincarnations. Understand this hidden secret and be careful with it. The verse that we say, however, in your hand, I will deposit my soul, Tehillim 31:6, does not help for what was mentioned, because we only intend that our soul should ascend to the level of deposit only and return and descend the next morning. The verse, my soul desired you, serves for the nefesh to remain above, and for the ruach or the neshama to descend as previously mentioned. This concludes Chapter 3 of Sha'ar HaGilgulim.